Hello and welcome to Sideways. This morning it's so misty you can hardly see your hand in front of your face. But Daisy wanted to come, so come we did. I think what she had was a fear of missing out, which is what this week's episode is about. We talk about why we worry about what other people are doing and that we're not doing it too, and some of the ways in which we might be able to overcome that debilitating feeling. I remember ways in which bunking off school wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. And Martin visits the farmer's market. Fear of missing out.
You've had quite a severe haircut there.
Yeah, no need for a hat today because the lockdown locks have gone.
Oh, now you've got your glasses on. Now you look like Harry Hill.
What are the chances of that happening? But how are you anyway? You good? I've just been to the farmer's market. It's lovely out there.
Oh, here we go. Come on. What did you get?
I only got my normal.
Apples, pears, bag of Colombian coffee from Yalden.
No, I didn't get any coffee.
Did you have to go surreptitiously past her stall so she didn't call you out?
Exactly, yeah. I didn't want her to catch my eye. That would have been a disaster. I'd have been in having to buy a bag then. So
she probably thought to herself, oh, blimey, I haven't seen Harry Hill here before.
But so that was, I avoided her and I felt a little bit guilty, but there we go. I didn't need any.
You don't need to feel guilty about not buying coffee, do you?
Not really. Not really. I'll soon get over it. Don't worry about that.
Is that what we're doing today? Guilt over not buying coffee?
We're not. No, we've got quite a lot lined up. I was looking through a list of things for future episodes. We've got quite a lot lined up.
That's good.
And that's not one of them.
Oh, all right.
But today's one. Did you want to know what today's one is?
Yeah, go on.
Well, it's your idea, really. Was the FOMO, or the fear of missing out?
Oh, was that my idea? I thought that was your idea.
I don't know. I can't remember whose idea it was, but it's one that's probably been kicking around for a while. But it's very relevant for those people entering recovery. So it's a good topic.
Okay, good. Well, let's do it then.
I was going to start off with a definition.
Oh, brilliant. Off you go then.
Yeah, because my notes are in some sort of order.
As usual.
Well, I was looking at the Wikipedia definition, all right? Now, you can't always trust it, but,
it's definitely the solid source you want to be going to, isn't it?
But I think it covers it, really. It says it's the fear of missing out, or the fear of missing out is a social anxiety stemming from the belief that others might be having fun whilst the person experiencing anxiety is not present. And it's characterised by a desire to stay continually connected with what others are doing. In fact, FOMO was actually added into the Oxford English Dictionary back in 2013, so it's an official word now.
Well, that's probably right, because all the time it wasn't included, it probably had a fear it was missing out. Can you, now you've given us a definition, can you think of times when you've actually experienced it?
Fear of missing out. I suppose it's only looking at, I think social media has a lot, Facebook and Instagram, they're big culprits, aren't they, really? And I think the fear of missing out, I suppose, because when I first went into recovery, I didn't have quite the invites that I used to get for social gatherings where there was a lot of drink flying about. And so, I had a bit of a fear of missing out there.
That was just because people didn't like you, really?
I did put it down to that in the end, yeah. I came to terms with it. I'm just not nice. I don't want me there.
You're just not very good company. That's
exactly.
Why.
It was a good excuse. Oh, no, he's not drinking anymore. We don't want him about. What a great opportunity to get rid of him out of the crowd. No, have you had an experience of it?
Well, I was just thinking about my earliest experience of FOMO, which would have happened long before FOMO was even a thing. Do you remember when you were at school and you'd managed to wangle yourself a day off by pretending you weren't very well? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Well, when I used to do that, I used to, and you must have experienced this, you get sort of towards mid-afternoon and it would all be getting a little bit boring, this kind of trying to keep up this pretense of not being very well. And then once it got to the time where the schools were chucking out, you'd see all the school kids walking past and your friends would be going past your house and you think, oh no, now I can't go out this evening now. I can't go and play football. I can't go and do anything because I've had to pretend that I'm ill all day. And so my payment, the price for having a day at home watching Crown Court and eating tomato soup is that now I'm going to miss out on whatever's going on this evening. So I think that was my first experience of FOMO. What do you think of that?
I think it's a good one, and I do relate to that, certainly. Yeah, taking a day off. And I used to fear...
I couldn't go up the back field, play headers and volleys.
Well, exactly, and that is a big price to pay in anyone's book. But I did. I used to fear I was missing out, not on the actual school work, although I didn't. I used to fear about being left behind if I took time out. But the fear of what fun people are having, what they're talking about, and playing footy at lunchtime and this sort of thing. Yeah, so you felt it took a little while, didn't it? You had a couple of days off if you were genuinely ill. Yeah, you took a couple of days out and you got back and things had carried on without you. Yeah, and you'd missed some stuff. So I did. I was very rarely off of school, I must admit.
That's quite a difficult and difficult realisation. Tends to come early to us, isn't it? Which is that even when we're out of the loop, that everything will just carry on without us anyway.
That constantly checking to ensure that you're not out the loop of what's going on is it becomes. We know there's social media addiction. We talked about it before, haven't we? About the technology itself. Yeah. Within that, the social media is an area where it causes all sorts of problems. I mean, people do it, check their social media, the first thing they do when they wake up in the mornings or just before they go to sleep. And at meal times, you've seen, often seen pictures of people in restaurants when we were allowed to go to restaurants, all sitting around the table, they're all checking up on their social media. And people even do it when they're driving. People have been caught, on Facebook whilst they're driving along. I mean, sometimes we can look at social media and sometimes it can alleviate if you have a bit of anxiety just to take you out of the situation. But often it doesn't, does it? And they describe it as running around the digital hamster wheel. Yeah. And you can feel excluded on that basis. You suddenly realise, a bunch of your mates are going to watch a band or something and you're not there. Yeah. It can have a terrible effect on you. Yeah. It can, sometimes you look at that and you feel quite good about what you see on there and there's things that make you laugh and things. So you get this roller coaster of emotions. You don't know whereabouts on the roller coaster when you jump on social media, where you're going to be. And it reminds me of the highs and lows of addiction. It really does. It mimics it.
That's interesting. I've not really thought about that, but yes, I suppose it must do. The sort of the promise that there's, wonderment out there, and then the realization that actually, for whatever reason, you're not quite achieving it. Yeah.
I mean, I think it. Whenever we look at it, it can involve this deep sense of envy, can't it? And it can affect your self-esteem, which is already shattered in addiction anyway. And it can be a real, the whole fear of missing out can be a real barrier to entering into recovery, because you've got this feeling your old associates, your old friends are going to be carrying on having some sort of fun, and you can no longer join in. And that can stop people, putting down the drink or stop taking the drugs for a considerable amount of time. I know it did me until I got to the point where I didn't want to be around people anyway.
So do you think when you're at the point where you're thinking about going into recovery, do you think in your own mind you kind of separate the destructive drinking behaviour that you have got to the point of wanting to leave behind and some sort of social aspect of that environment that you feel regretful about leaving behind? Do you separate those in your mind? Because actually, they're intrinsically linked, aren't they?
They are intrinsically linked, but you look at again, you persuade yourself that what you're going to be giving up is too big. And again, we've talked about it before, where you look back at your past experiences and you get rid of all the bad stuff in your mind. And so in your mind, what you're giving up is something which was really valuable to you, which in reality, it was absolutely shocking. But and that will keep whirring over in your mind for an awful long time before you decide that something has to be done. So I see it as a real barrier. And it's not just for me, although I experienced it firsthand. I know a lot of people in groups have talked about exactly the same thing.
That is kind of another aspect of FOMO anyway, isn't it? The sort of selective memory. It's not so much selectively remembering something, but it's picking out the parts of a situation that are going to cause you pain and ignoring the ones that actually mitigate the pain. So, if you're in a restaurant and you make your order and someone else's meal turns up and you think, oh, blimey, I wish I'd ordered that. It's that same thing, isn't it? Instead of concentrating on whatever you've done or whatever you've got, you're thinking about something that someone else has, and by definition, something that you can't have.
Yeah,
we're attracted to things that we can't have, and you see that, in addiction, obviously, but also in therapy with all sorts of other conditions. We're drawn towards something that we feel is beyond us, and that's essentially what FOMO is doing to us, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it originates from unhappiness, doesn't it? Into which addiction feeds heavily. So you can suffer from it whilst you're in active addiction. And then also when you're considering recovery, so it's this sort of double whammy, and it keeps you in a very sad, static place. It's quite powerful. I hadn't really thought about it before we discussed doing this episode. And the more I think about it, and the more I've looked at it and looked up stuff online about it, it's a very relevant topic. And I'm glad we're covering it.
I think one of the things that makes FOMO so difficult is that it's founded on a mythical belief, which is that choice makes us happy. We've been sold the idea, haven't we, in modern society, that the more things we have to choose from, we've got 400 television channels or 200 different types of salad dressing in the supermarket or whatever, we kind of indoctrinated to believe that all of that choice is good for us. If we have a multiplicity of choices, there's bound to be something that we enjoy, and therefore it gives us some sort of freedom. But actually it's giving us the reverse, because all it does is it creates a great anxiety around all the choices we can't make. When you and I were growing up, if you wanted a pair of jeans, you'd go in the shop and, there was Levi's or Wranglers or, I don't know, Lee or whatever.
Brutus jeans.
Brutus, Christ, I'd forgotten about Brutus. Or you could get them from Marks and Spencer's if you wanted ones with elasticated waists. But essentially, you didn't have a choice of style. The style you got was whatever was in fashion. If it was 70s, it'd be flares, and then they got straight or whatever. Now, you've got so many different, skinny fit, slim fit, wide fit, boot fit. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so the idea that makes us happy and gives us freedom, I think, is mythical, because all it does is it confuses us and makes us anxious about the things that we don't choose, which, as I say, is FOMO.
It is, isn't it? That example is a bit like the old school uniform debate, isn't it? If everyone looks the same, there's no choice, and there's no anxiety, no worries. When you have freedom, you start to worry about what you've got to wear into school.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I can remember when I used to work in the corporate world, when they introduced dress down Fridays, they were not universally popular, because the problem it gave people on a Friday is they thought, I don't know what to wear now. Every other day I know what to wear. I'll just put a suit on.
Yeah.
Now, how do I dress down? How do I kind of judge it right? So I think, the point is we need to be careful about how much we think that kind of freedom to do whatever we want actually makes us happy, because sometimes it can make us anxious and miserable.
You're right. And just moving on from that slightly, I think, we feel we can feel exacerbated, can't we, when we feel that others' lives are so much better than our own. We should try to compare ourselves less, shouldn't we? I mean, how do we do that?
Some level of comparison with other people is inevitable, and actually, in some respects, is quite useful, because it helps us kind of benchmark where we are. But if that's what we rely on to feel okay about ourselves, that's when we're in trouble. If we're always looking around to see what other people are doing and comparing ourselves, the tendency is we'll compare upwards. So we'll find people that we think are living better lives than we are, have done better than we have, got more money than we have. And so we always make ourselves miserable by looking at that. I can remember working with a guy for some time who was tormented. That would be the only word I could use. Tormented by looking at people that he'd known in his past on social media, on Facebook, and looking at their lives, which are obviously curated because they're on social media, and feeling absolutely distraught at all the fun he hadn't had. And kind of looking back at everything he felt he'd missed in the past was just perpetuating him missing out on his life in the present.
Yeah, that reminds me of a quote.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, no, it fits in nicely. It's by Erica Jong. She's an American novelist, and she said that jealousy is all the fun that you think they had, which is right, isn't it?
That's one of your best quotes, I think.
Quite profound, I thought. But yeah, I think you're right. When we're looking outwards instead of inwards, we lose this sense of self, don't we? We lose the authentic sense of self. And the constant fear we're missing out means we're not really participating as a real person in your own world. And so I think, what you said there was very true, very real.
Yeah, really if you Google FOMO, which you will have done, you'll have noticed that there are page after page after page of ways to fix it. Right?
Yeah.
Things that you can do to fix FOMO. And when I was looking at it, because I just did a quick Google search just to have a look and see what came up, the thing that really struck me was our fascination, our fixation with fixing FOMO might be somewhat missing the point, because actually the necessity really is for us to just live with it, to recognize what we're feeling, that sort of sitting with the discomfort that we believe other people have better lives than us is the thing that helps us to realize or eventually will help us to root ourselves in focusing more on the lives that we're experiencing rather than the lives that other people are experiencing. Because there's nothing you can do to fix it if you are constantly going to be jealous about what other people are doing. You can't live someone else's life. You can think about the life you're not living, but all the time that you're focusing on that, it's impossible for you to experience the one that you've got.
So do you think it's a sort of reallocation of attention is what we're looking at here? So withdrawing from looking at the negative stuff and attending to the positive. I mean, the positivity of recovery to me was leaving all the hell behind. I didn't know it until I got there and started into it. But it's at that point, and we've talked about this a lot, and it's massive in the recovery community anyways, is gratitude. And we talk about it every week. And it's a great way to focus on positivity, isn't it? Hence their lists. And it's, they always reckon that, the more a person is inclined to gratitude, the less likely he or she is to be depressed, anxious, lonely, envious, or neurotic. So there's another quote through in there. I don't know who it's from.
Whose is that?
I don't know. I just like it, but it's not allocated to anyone. So you can have it if you like.
No, I don't want to appropriate other people's quotations.
No, plagiarism is not good, is it?
Not really. No, I think that's absolutely right. Gratitude is the antidote to FOMO, isn't it? Because
it is.
By definition, when you're concentrating on what you feel grateful for, you're not really giving a shit about what anybody else is doing.
Exactly.
That's right at the root of it. So I think that's absolutely true. I think the other thing about FOMO is it quite often springs from a feeling that we've already established in ourselves that our lives are not very good. If you feel like you don't have a very good life, or you feel like you're not very worthwhile or not very valuable, it's much easier to look away from yourself, other people who are having valuable lives, are interesting, are good fun. So I think it's worth us trying to consider where those feelings of jealousy come from. Because if you already feel bad about your own existence, it's obviously not very difficult to feel jealous about other people's.
No, that's right. It's where you set the benchmark, isn't it, of where you want happiness to be and where you can achieve it.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps one of the reasons why people in early recovery are prone to FOMO is because there's probably quite a high incidence of people feeling as if their lives aren't very good when they're first in recovery.
Oh, totally.
Quite easy, isn't it, to look at everybody else? It's probably easy to look at pretty much everyone else and say, well, everyone else is having a better time. Everyone else is having a better life. Everyone else is more valuable than me.
So really, we've got to change our outlook, really, and go from FOMO to JOMO. So the joy of missing out, the joy of not having to buy into other people's illusions of how good their life is. And social media is a as we said at the start of this episode, they're really are the major culprits in this. Now, without it, things are considerably easier.
No, I mean, obviously, if you feel you have a tendency towards FOMO, then reducing your opportunities to compare your life with other people is a good thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you know, if you recognise it's something that is difficult for you, then you're not really helping yourself by constantly immersing yourself in situations that allow you to focus more on other people than on yourself.
I agree, but it's just so prevalent in society. Everyone seems to do it. Everyone seems to have this fear that people are doing better than them. They're always comparing themselves. And since I've got off of that treadmill, things are so much easier. I don't do it anymore, and I find happiness in what I've got rather than what I potentially could have.
Yeah, well, I think we've been kind of conditioned, haven't we, to believe that more is better.
We have.
And so, breaking that cycle is hard. It's hard for people. I mean, it's in a sense, it's kind of easier for us in a couple of ways. I mean, it's easier for you because you're in recovery, and so your ability to compare your life now with your life in the past it would be pretty difficult for you to feel like you were missing out on your days of drunken haze because, well, apart from anything else, you can't remember them. But I think the other thing that makes a difference is age.
Yeah,
it is easier when we get older to recognize, because we've moved into that phase of our lives where we are more reflective. We are more, we've got more to be grateful for. We've built up a kind of legacy, if you like, that we can feel happy for. So I think it is very difficult for younger people to shake off this kind of necessity to be constantly comparing and constantly be doing things not because they feel they want to, but because they feel like they should. That tends to be the driving motivation for a lot of young people.
So it comes back to gratitude, really. That's the crux of, you can Google all you want about how to deal with FOMO, but gratitude really is the central point, isn't it? Which is a good point, perhaps, to move on to our gratitude lists. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Are you happy to do that? Happy
to do that. If you can't find gratitude, then you're in trouble.
Exactly. You're moving from FOMO to JOMO via gratitude. That's all we need to say.
You're beginning to sound like a Domino's pizza advert now.
I've not seen one, but I'll take your word for it. Don't think so, no.
That's what they focus on. They say from instead of fear of missing out, experience the joy of missing out. The idea being that you stay at home and just eat pizza.
Oh, right, okay. No, I haven't seen that. So that sounds slightly plagiarised there, but it really isn't.
I thought perhaps you were being sponsored by Domino's.
You can imagine that.
We should probably point out now that whilst pizza is lovely, you shouldn't eat too much. So every time, I wouldn't suggest that every time you feel FOMO that you ring up and get a pizza delivered, because then you'll be experiencing not being able to get through your own doors.
Well, exactly, yeah. And I think weight gain is probably one of the quickest ways to get back to FOMO.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I'm missing out on being able to wear those trousers I could wear.
Exactly. So anyway, what's on the gratitude list, mate?
This week, can I have two things on my gratitude list?
Yeah, well, I've got two.
Okay. This week, I've got coffee on my gratitude list. I'm drinking some now. And the reason that's on there, in fact, both of these things are on here for the same reason. The reason coffee's on here is because it's part of my daily ritual. When I grind the beans for my coffee, which I know is very middle class, but when I'm grinding the beans and putting them in a little stove top mocha pot, and then putting the, don't take the piss, and then tamping the coffee down and then waiting for it to bubble through. It's 10 minutes of reflection, and I tend to stand and look out into the garden or just be with my thoughts, and it's nice. Yeah. It's a little 10-minute coffee meditation. And then the other thing that I'm grateful for, which is I suppose is quite a big thing, but I don't think I've mentioned it before, is music, because music tends to accompany me doing quite a lot of my work, and not I don't play music when I'm in sessions with clients, obviously. But when I'm writing or I'm doing anything else, I tend to be listening to stuff, and it's I find that very cathartic. So I'm feeling very grateful for that this week. So they're my two.
Yeah, two quite big ones there. Yeah.
Well, coffee's not that big.
Well, no, it's mainstream. You know, anyone can feel that joy. But I know it's the joy of grinding beans is very good. It's something I've only recently discovered since you bought me a grinder for Christmas or something, or birthday or something, which it has been a real joy.
I think it was your birthday, and I should just point out before you get onto yours that something that I'm definitely not grateful for at all is instant coffee. It is absolute dire shite.
Well, yeah, going back to that after you grind your own beans is a difficult journey, that's for sure. Anyway, on my gratitude list, it's things that have made me laugh, really, apart from the TikTok videos that you've sent me of people falling over, which have been very funny.
Yeah.
I read a story in the Independent about there's some people in a block of flats in Poland.
Yeah,
and they were too afraid to open their windows because they out in one of the trees outside, they could see what looked like a dangerous animal.
Right.
So they called in the authorities, and it turned out to be a croissant, which did make me laugh. It was a carelessly tossed croissant into the trees that had people standing indoors. It looked like a dangerous animal. Good one. It made me laugh. Which I can see it is you as well.
So what is it you're grateful for there? The investigative journalism?
I'm just grateful for the story.
Oh, yeah. Grateful for little vignettes that make you laugh.
Well, the news is full of so much rubbish and doom and gloom. It's nice to have little bits and pieces like that. It cheers me up.
Yeah, as you say, like people falling over. I think you said when I sent you one of those videos that it's never not funny.
It isn't, and you don't like to see people hurting themselves, but the actual act of tripping over is just hilarious. You know,
funnily enough, watching someone fall over and laughing at that is the epitome of the joy of missing out, isn't it?
It is.
You're joyful that you aren't falling over and someone else is.
Yeah, I mean, you've been framed as built up on it. You know, and as I'm looking a bit like Harry Hill today, we've completed the circle.
Very good.
But my other inch on my gratitude list is yet again is cake related.
Mm.
Yeah, because I was we're working at a place this week, and the owners of the property, they're quite big on baking, both of them.
Yeah,
the husband and the wife, and they bought out a plate for myself and Les, who I work with two cakes each on them, and they said. One was a banana cake and one was a ginger cake. And I said, can you taste them and tell us which one you think is best? Because one of us has baked one and one of us has baked the other. It was like a bake-off. We were like judges on bake-off. And I thought, I know, what do we say? What do we say here? How could you be diplomatic in that situation? But they were both delicious. Oh. And we tried to, I looked at Les and we tried to have, one of each would say, yours is best. But in the end, we both went for the banana cake, which he had baked. And then so she brought out some gypsy tart, which topped the lot. So she went back into the lead at that point.
When it came, if I'd been asked to judge that would have been easy for me without even tasting them. Because banana cake is the work of the devil, isn't it? Everybody knows.
Right, absolutely lovely.
And not only is banana cake terrible, but gypsy tart's even worse.
I hadn't had gypsy tarts probably since I was at school, and it was absolutely delicious.
Did she serve it with half an apple?
She didn't. She put one of those smocks on, like the dinner ladies used to wear, and brought it out. Yeah.
Did she offer you? Did you ask for a big portion of what you thought were chips, only to find out they were parsnips?
Well, that was always a horror story, wasn't it? That one.
Or what was that sponge with the pink custard? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Did it have a lot of coconut bits on top?
It did, yeah. But why pink custard? It didn't taste of anything pink, did it?
No, it didn't. No, it's just to make it sort of visually attractive, which had the opposite effect for me, to be honest. But there we go. So that's it, really, apart from my Spotify search for Fomo.
Right, okay. So I'm not sure I know any songs with
Fomo. I didn't. There's several artists called Fomo.
Are there?
Yeah, there are. But the tracks that I particularly liked this week One was by an indie folk rock band from Christchurch, and they're called There's a Tuesday, which I quite like.
Do you mean Christchurch in New Zealand?
In New Zealand, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. There's a Tuesday. They do a nice track called Fomo. But my favourite one was really there's one called Fomo for Kids. And it's by this Belgian indie pop band called Tin Fingers. I like that track.
That's a good name, actually. Tin Fingers is good.
It is, and it was closely followed up by one. It was in contention for the top spot this week. Was Fomo by Peach Pyramid, and they're from British Columbia in Canada, and they're a rock band. So
Peach Pyramid sounds like a track on Super Mario Kart.
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's they're all three good tracks. I recommend them. They'll go onto my Spotify list.
When are we going to see your Spotify playlist?
I don't know. I haven't got it together yet. You know, there's not enough tracks to make an album, really.
Lazy.
But there's some great stuff on there.
Well, you must have a few tracks now. You must have enough tracks for an EP at the very least.
I could do, but I don't want to be hassled by you into doing stuff I don't want to do at the moment. Really?
Have you got a gammon timer on today?
I haven't. No, mate. No, I haven't got any timers on. We're recording back at a normal slot at 11 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Be a bit early for the gammon timer, wouldn't it?
It is, yeah. I had a 4-minute timer on earlier on for my coffee beans. Once they were percolating nicely, it says to leave it for 4 minutes before you pour yourself out your first cup. So I put a timer on for that.
Did you? Excellent.
Yeah. But Alexa finished that before we came on air, so it was all right.
Thanks for letting us know about that. What have you got planned today?
Nothing.
Oh, excellent. It's nice and sunny out there.
It is. Yeah, well, I've already been out once down to the farmers market, and then I may go out for a walk later on. Depends how I feel.
Was there a huge queue today?
Well, I'm getting there earlier and earlier, so I sort of beat it. But everyone
do you arrive and lie in your sleeping bag for a couple of hours till it opens up?
Yeah, I'm like it's like trooping to the colour up in London. People for a royal wedding or something. People lining the streets. It's getting that bad. Yeah,
you're waiting for apples and pears.
Yeah.
Oh dear, very good. All right, okay. Well, I'll let you get on then.
Thanks, mate. I'll see you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.